The issue isn't that she dislikes sex or isn't in the mood. It's that she finds it impossible to feel drawn to a man whose very demeanor screams that he doesn't believe he deserves her desire. This is the stumbling block for most men. They operate under the illusion that being exceptionally good, overly polite, or showering her with excessive, unearned respect will magically make her fall for them. What they catastrophically fail to grasp is that this behavior reliably sparks feelings of friendship, sympathy, or perhaps trust, but it extinguishes the flame of raw sexual desire before it can even catch. Authentic female desire connects viscerally to masculine strength, not aggression or brute force, but to qualities like decisive direction, unwavering clarity, and the bedrock confidence of a man who knows precisely what he wants and moves to claim it without requiring her validation to act. A woman doesn't fantasize about the hesitant guy who whispers, "Is it okay if I kiss you?" She fantasizes about the man who approaches with an unwavering gaze, a solid, grounded presence, and ignites a visceral reaction deep in her core without uttering a single word. This presence, however, cannot be convincingly faked. It must be forged. This is your essential inner work as a man. If self-doubt plagues you, if the fear of rejection paralyzes you, or if you secretly feel less than, your body broadcasts it relentlessly. Your eyes reveal it. Even if you meticulously recite all the right lines, she will perceive an underlying lack of power. And what is a woman's instinctive reaction when she senses this weakness? She categorizes you firmly in the nice guy but utterly unexciting box. Picture the classic, heartbreaking scenario. A man invests in multiple dates, pays for everything, remains impeccably polite, and consciously avoids any pressure. She laughs politely. Everything seems fine on the surface. Yet every single time he tentatively tries to bridge the physical gap, she retreats, claiming she's not ready. He consoles himself with, "Okay, I respect her process." Internally, however, she's thinking, "I feel absolutely nothing. There's zero spark. He's incredibly nice, but I feel no desire." Then, she either fades away or, worse, starts dating another man. One who wasn't nearly as polite, but radiated a clarity that bypassed verbal permission. He projected an energy she felt, not one she had to reason herself into accepting. Does this sting? Profoundly. Is it fair? That's irrelevant. This is the unvarnished mechanics of human attraction. Weak, emotionally insecure energy is simply incapable of provoking genuine desire. So, what's the imperative action? Cease the futile quest for her approval. Stop waiting endlessly for some unambiguous perfect signal that may never arrive. Begin connecting unapologetically with your own desire, shedding any vestiges of shame. Understand that Stoicism isn't about repressing your feelings, it's about mastering them, exercising control, without feeling compelled to hide your fundamental intention. Because a man who can powerfully contain his desire without becoming dependent on her reaction for his sense of self-worth, that man becomes magnetically attractive. She notices it instantly. Not through his words, but through the way he moves with purpose, the way he commands a room simply by entering it, the way his gaze holds hers without a hint of apology for finding her desirable. That kind of man isn't weak. And that's precisely why Shidos desire intimacy with him. 2. Abandon the habit of asking for permission. Lead decisively or accept loss. This is a brutal, necessary truth, rarely articulated. The moment you ask for permission, you voluntarily surrender your personal power. And once you relinquish that power, you inevitably sacrifice her attraction. This isn't advocating for being a jerk, forcing yourself on her, or displaying disrespect. It means understanding that a woman yearns to feel she's with a man who knows what he's doing, who possesses an internal compass guiding his actions, not a man who requires her to guide him step by step like an uncertain child. When a man tentatively asks, "Can I kiss you? Do you want a hug?" Or the painfully awkward, "Is it okay if we sleep together?" she doesn't primarily hear respect. What resonates far louder is doubt, insecurity, and a glaring lack of leadership. And that lethal combination annihilates desire in mere seconds. Why? Because female desire operates reactively. She instinctively responds to the energy you project outward. If you project hesitation and doubt, she reflexively responds with coolness and withdrawal. If you project unwavering confidence through your presence alone, without needing to verbalize it, she responds with awakened desire. This is where Stoicism transforms from philosophy into practical power. The Stoic man doesn't ask permission to lead. He embodies leadership naturally, with calm assurance, grounded presence, and quiet certainty. If she genuinely disagrees or feels uncomfortable, she possesses the agency to communicate that boundary, and he respects it without collapsing internally or reacting emotionally. The powerful irony, however, is that most of the time, she was open to it. She was simply waiting for you to demonstrate the courage and conviction to take the step decisively. Imagine the classic pivotal moment. You're with a woman, perhaps at your place or hers. The connection feels electric. Conversation flows effortlessly. She's laughing freely. Her gaze lingers on yours. She subtly closes the physical distance. You feel the pull of desire intensely. But instead of moving with calm, intentional action, you nervously blurt out, "Can I kiss you?" Her expression shifts, a slight furrowing of the brow, an uncomfortable smile, and she says, "Maybe better not just yet." What just happened? The potent, charged moment instantly evaporated. She was likely receptive, poised for that connection, but your overt doubt introduced hesitation into her mind. Now, envision the potent alternative. You remain fully present, anchored. You meet her gaze steadily. You close the distance smoothly, without words. Guided by the palpable energy between you. She feels the intensity of the moment, the magnetic tension, your silent certainty. Your leadership isn't announced. It's demonstrated physically, through assured action. And for her, this embodied confidence is profoundly irresistible. Ceasing to ask permission isn't about aggression. It's about trusting your own calibrated energy and presence so completely that you intuitively recognize her receptiveness without requiring her to spell it out verbally. That is authentic masculine leadership. And that is how she chooses to follow. 3. Understand that female desire operates silently, governed by emotion, not logic. Many men remain perpetually frustrated in their interactions with women because they cling to a fundamentally flawed belief that desire functions like a logical equation. They think, if I am consistently good, attentive, patient, and caring, she will eventually reciprocate my desire. This is a profound misconception. Desire doesn't operate on rational principles. It's an emotional, visceral, often silent force. A woman might verbally articulate that she wants a respectful, stable, sensitive partner, yet find herself powerfully, inexplicably drawn to a man who embodies none of those stated qualities. Why this apparent contradiction? Because her conscious words don't always align with her subconscious emotional drivers. What she says she wants isn't necessarily what she feels compelled by in the moment of attraction. If you take her stated rational preferences as explicit instructions for how to behave to win her affection, you are setting yourself up for repeated failure. Female desire originates deep within the body, an instinctual response, not a carefully reasoned conclusion formed in the mind. It's sparked by raw energy, palpable tension, and intriguing mystery. It isn't something debated, argued over, or understood purely through logical deduction. This fundamental disconnect is the root of so much male frustration. But I did everything right. Why didn't it work? She told me she wasn't ready for anything. Yet days later she was intimate with someone else. I just don't understand what she actually wants. The crucial answer liberates you. You don't need to understand her specific individual wants in that rational sense. You need to understand the universal mechanics of how desire functions. She can genuinely tell you she likes you, respects you, thinks you're a great guy, and still feel absolutely no spark of attraction. Why? Because you failed to stir anything visceral within her. Often, this happens precisely because you were too readily available, utterly predictable, or overly focused on being perfectly correct. Desire isn't reasoned into existence. It's felt in a primal level, This means you cannot logically argue someone into desiring you, nor can you earn it through checklists of good behavior. You must provoke it through compelling presence, authentic masculine energy, an aura of intriguing mystery, and above all, the radiating security that demonstrates you don't need or desire to feel complete and worthy. It's precisely when you embody this self-contained wholeness that she begins to feel the pull of genuine desire. 4. Recognize that your unspoken sexual energy communicates far more powerfully than your words. Many men obsess over crafting the perfect thing to say, convinced that if they deliver the right speech, deploy clever phrases, or speak with poetic eloquence, the woman will inevitably succumb to their charms. They overlook a fundamental truth. Your physical being communicates volumes before you even open your mouth. If your underlying sexual energy is misaligned, radiating anxiety, repression, or desperation, she perceives it immediately. You can verbally proclaim confidence, masculinity, and vast experience all day long. But if your gaze wavers nervously, your body language is tight and closed off, or your overall energy silently screams, "Please validate me," she tunes out your words entirely. She hears only the loud, clear signal of your insecurity. And here's an uncomfortable reality many modern men need to confront. Years of cultural conditioning have led countless men to repress their natural sexual energy so severely that they've lost touch with how to express it authentically and powerfully. They hide it away, minimize its existence, or attempt to camouflage it behind a facade of exaggeratedly good or harmless behavior. Then, they stand bewildered, wondering why she doesn't respond with reciprocal energy, why there's zero palpable chemistry, why they perpetually end up relegated to the friend zone. Brother, it's time for a wake-up call. Your desire is not something to be hidden or apologized for. Your task is to learn how to direct it purposefully, contain it masterfully, and down it completely. This mastery doesn't equate to being aggressive or impulsively acting out. It means you can fully acknowledge and feel your desire without becoming enslaved by it, without letting it dictate your actions from a place of uncontrolled need. This self-possession projects a potent signal. A woman intuitively senses whether you are in calm command of your energy or whether you are desperately broadcasting a need for her attention and approval. You don't need to verbally announce, "I desire you." She feels the reality, or lack thereof, in your steady gaze, your grounded posture, your overall aura of presence. However, if that energy stems from anxiety, from a perceived inner lack, from a mindset of, "I hope she picks me," she will instinctively withdraw. This is where the practical application of Stoicism proves invaluable. The Stoic man isn't emotionally cold or detached. He is centered and strong. He isn't passive. He is firmly rooted in his own being. He possesses a deep understanding of who he is and what he wants, and he doesn't feel compelled to shout these truths from the rooftops to be noticed or validated. Your sexual energy is an intrinsic element of your masculine power. Repress it, and you diminish your presence. Let it overflow chaotically, and you forfeit respect. But learn to control it, to channel it with calm intention, and she will feel its magnetic pull and respond with awakened desire. The era of hiding your fundamental nature is over. The path forward is mastering its expression. 5. Cultivate the power of non-reaction to ignite her intrigue. Let's be direct. You are likely far too reactive, and this pervasive reactivity broadcasts weakness and desperation. Most contemporary men react intensely to nearly everything a woman does or doesn't do. If she doesn't reply promptly to a text, anxiety spikes. If she posts a social media story, they dissect it, wondering if it's a cryptic message meant for them. If she shows diminished interest, they immediately take offense, or, counterproductively, ramp up their pursuit. Brother, if every fluctuation in her mood or attention level significantly affects your emotional state and actions, you are not in control, she's. And this dynamic is the ultimate attraction killer. For a woman to experience genuine, sustained attraction, she needs to feel she is engaging with an emotionally stable, self-assured man. A man whose sense of self doesn't crumble over a perceived slight or a curt response, who doesn't scan her every expression seeking reassurance and approval, who doesn't require her constant positive feedback simply to exist confidently as himself. That man is exceptionally rare in today's landscape. And that scarcity is precisely what makes him profoundly valuable. The man who doesn't react impulsively to her behaviors, who maintains his inner equilibrium regardless of external stimuli, who doesn't feel compelled to force outcomes or seek validation, naturally becomes an intriguing challenge for her. And though she may never articulate it, this quality deeply excites her. Why? Because it demonstrates clearly that his focus isn't on pleasing her or winning her favor. He is living authentically from his own core power and purpose. If she chooses to join him on his path, that's wonderful. If not, that's perfectly acceptable too. This profound inner security generates palpable tension, creates compelling mystery, and taps directly into a woman's deepest reservoirs of desire. She finds herself wondering, who is this man who seems so complete without needing anything from me? This leads to the necessary, critical self-assessment many men avoid. A significant number haven't done the essential internal work. They lack a compelling personal purpose, a clear vision for their life, or foundational emotional resilience. This void is why they react so strongly to external validation, particularly from women. This is why they constantly seek female approval, and this makes them painfully transparent. She can perceive their emotional state from a distance. She can detect their neediness like a scent. And even if she remains outwardly polite, internally, respect and attraction evaporate. The Stoic man, by deliberate contrast, is neither cold nor emotionally dead. He feels deeply. However, he consciously chooses not to be dragged helplessly by those feelings. He observes situations clearly, but doesn't act on raw impulse. He is so intently focused on his own path and purpose, replace Tim Ham's path with his own path, that he doesn't require her to send signals for him to move forward confidently with his life. And it's precisely this unwavering self-direction that sparks her attraction, not because he pursues her, but because she senses she cannot control or manipulate him. That is utterly irresistible to a woman. So, if you find yourself reacting viscerally to her every gesture, message, or silence, halt that pattern immediately. Your intrinsic value does not reside in how she responds to you. Your value is inherent, demonstrated by how you conduct yourself and respond to your own principles and challenges. A truly valuable man doesn't contort himself to match a woman's emotional state. He isn't destabilized by it. Did she ignore your text? Did she answer curtly? Did she leave you on read? He remains anchored, centered, continuing to build his life and pursue his goals with steady focus. If she authentically desires to be part of that journey, fantastic. If not, he accepts it without crumbling. But here's the most potent psychological shift. When you consciously stop reacting predictably to her fluctuations, she often begins to react differently to you. When you stop orbiting her emotional world, she often starts gravitating towards yours. Because you've exited the exhausting, "how can I make her happy?" mode. You've shifted into the empowered, "does this person and interaction genuinely add value to my life or not?" mode. And this shift in your fundamental stance drives her fascination. The emotionally cold man repels. The overly reactive, validation-seeking man quickly becomes tiresome. But the centered, self-possessed man ignites a powerful spark within her. Why? Precisely because she intuitively understands she cannot control him. She cannot easily read his every thought or emotion. She cannot manipulate his reactions like she might with other men. This pulls her decisively out of her comfort zone and directly into the realm of potent desire. When you refuse to react like everyone else, she starts questioning, why doesn't this man seem to need my constant attention? Why isn't he chasing me when I pull back? What does he possess that allows him such calm while others play desperate games? In that moment of curiosity, she often stops playing games herself and begins pursuing you, recognizing you as a man of substance, not just another source of easy validation. So, if you aspire to be deeply desired, abandon the urge to loudly proclaim your worth. Instead, embody it silently through your actions and presence. Don't react impulsively. Observe thoughtfully. Act decisively, but only when you choose, guided by calmness and your inner center. This caliber of energy is uncommon, and when a woman encounters it, she rarely wants to let it go. 6. Master the art of letting her initiate, the psychological key. This final pillar reveals one of the most potent, yet least discussed, dynamics of female desire. When a woman feels the decision to move towards intimacy was genuinely hers, her desire intensifies exponentially. This isn't about passive waiting or abdicating all initiative on your part. The crucial psychological strategy is about skillfully creating the optimal environment and palpable tension, where her desire naturally surfaces and compels her to act, rather than clumsily imposing your intention through pressure or explicit requests. Most men sabotage themselves by pressuring her, rushing the moment, or uttering neediness-drenched phrases like, "When is something finally going to happen between us? I like you so much I can't stand it. I can't wait any longer," or the disastrously unsubtle, "Wouldn't you like to spend the night with me?" These verbal missteps instantly annihilate any building attraction because they obliterate mystery, dissolve tension, and remove her sense of authentic choice. She feels cornered into making a decision, rather than genuinely wanting to make it. Herein lies the essential key. A woman experiences true excitement when she feels she actively crossed a line driven by her own burgeoning desire, not when she was pushed or guilted across it by you. So, how do you cultivate this dynamic? It hinges entirely on your nonverbal communication, your commanding presence, your calibrated body language, the intensity and confidence in your gaze, the controlled tone of your voice, and above all, your ability to project calm assurance. She needs to perceive that contained, powerful sexual charge, a desire you aren't shouting about, but which hangs palpably in the space between you. The calmer and more self-assured you remain, the less you feel compelled to fill silences with nervous chatter. The more comfortable you are simply being in the charged atmosphere, the more uncomfortable she often becomes not taking action. If she feels psychologically safe, if a genuine connection exists, and if you've masterfully generated emotional and physical tension without inducing anxiety, she will frequently be the one to initiate the next step. Rarely will this be an explicit declaration. More often, it surfaces in seemingly casual but charged phrases like, "Are you staying a bit longer? Are you always this calm? Are you always calm?" Or, "I feel kind of strange around you, like nervous." Translation: "I'm feeling intense things I can't ignore, and I'm opening the door for you." Picture this common, potent scene. You're at her place, or yours. The vibe is relaxed yet charged. Conversation flows easily. You're physically close. You don't immediately reach for her. You don't invade her space abruptly. You simply exist there, radiating calm, unhurried, speaking in a low, steady tone. Your gaze is firm, yet relaxed, holding hers. At a certain point, she falls silent, perhaps bites her lip, looks directly at you, and says something like, "Are you always this confident?" As she subtly moves closer. Boom. The shift happens. You didn't verbalize the request. You didn't overtly ask for intimacy. You skillfully provoked it by establishing the conditions where her own desire became undeniable. Because authentic desire isn't always activated by direct words, it's activated by potent, well-directed masculine energy. And when you create that safe, tension-filled space free from anxiety or pressure, she feels genuinely free to choose. And more often than not, she chooses you. This is the master key, understood by far too few. Sex isn't successfully asked for. It is strategically and powerfully provoked. Here's the unvarnished truth many avoid. If you find yourself in a position where you feel you must verbally ask a woman for sex, you've likely already lost the battle for genuine desire. Yes, it's that brutally direct. Because if you need to convince her to be intimate with you, it signifies she doesn't feel that raw, natural pull. And when desire doesn't arise spontaneously from within her, what you potentially experience isn't true intimacy. It's closer to obligation or charity. That's the controversial, necessary phrase. I know it stings, but it's the vital truth you must hear. Countless men exhaust themselves trying to make women like them, bending over backwards to please, terrified of causing any discomfort. In doing so, they forget the paramount objective. You are not here to beg for desire. Your role is to provoke it. Not through hollow tricks, not by parroting lines found online, but through cultivating an undeniable presence, projecting authentic masculine energy, achieving genuine self-mastery, and building a fulfilling life that stands strong with or without her participation. When you cease the exhausting chase and learn the art of magnetic attraction, everything transforms. A man's true power doesn't reside in his eloquence. It resonates in how he commands a room simply by entering it, how his gaze holds intensity without apology, how he embraces silence without fidgeting, how he moves through the world with unmistakable purpose, how he makes a woman instinctively wonder, who is this man, and why do I feel this pull to be near him? If you haven't yet reached this state, that's perfectly acceptable. This journey is precisely about awakening that potential within you, training your mindset, refining your energy, and forging your presence into that of a Stoic man navigating a world filled with uncertainty. Because your purpose isn't to adapt and conform, it's to lead with conviction. If anything shared here resonates with your experience, acknowledge it. Share your reflections. Have you ever asked for permission and instantly felt the power drain away? Have you witnessed a woman's interest visibly ignite only when you operated from a place of deep inner calm and certainty? Your insights are valuable. And yes, engagement matters. This aims to be more than passive consumption. It seeks to build a community of men weary of feeling invisible, weak, or easily manipulated. Men ready to forge authentic respect, magnetism, and inner power without resorting to shouting or supplication. If you recognize yourself in this call, take the step. Prepare to perceive the dynamics of attraction through an entirely new, empowered lens. Because once this understanding takes root, there truly is no going back.